welcome to Policy and Politics with me, Tarun Nangia. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had a series of meetings in Washington today. If I read out the list of the names to you, it goes like this. He is president and Qualcomm. Shantanu Narayan, he is chairman of Adobe. Mark Widmar, CEO of First Solar. Vivek Lal, chairman of Geo General Atomics. There was Stephen, he's CEO and co-founder of Blackstone. And we must remember, Blackstone invested billions of dollars in India, and so on and so forth. We can clearly see that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going out to get investment to India. As we all know, India needs a lot of money in the infrastructure space. India wishes that kind of investment. Also, we are undergoing a massive monetization program, for which also we want a lot of these investment funds to put money into our country. And I think these things would have been touched upon. And of course, the bureaucrats will follow it up. To discuss the Prime Minister's visit, I have a very eminent panel with me. I have with me Dr. Vijay Kalantri, a very well-known industrialist. I have with me Ambassador Jayant Dasgupta. As we all know, he has served as India's ambassador to the World Trade Organization. Welcome, both of you. May I request Dr. Vijay Kalantri to open the discussion with what he feels about the Prime Minister's visit and the expectations of investment from the United States into India.
Thank you, Mr. Nangia, and nice to have our expert, Mr. Dasgupta, with us, who is expert on various subjects. And it's very important, the present visit after Biden's election to the US president. This is the first meeting which our Prime Minister will have one-to-one with him. There are various issues which needs to be discussed. Of course, one is the investment, as you rightly said. If we are talking about 5 trillion economy by 2025, we need investment. And we are talking about 5 trillion investment by 2025 in infrastructure sector. So we also need investment, we need technology, we need joint ventures, and we have to work with it. America, as it is our biggest trading partner, and we need to work closely with them and also see that there's a confidence between both the countries in working together in promoting bilateral trade as well as diplomacy. But there are various issues related to WTO. Of course, Mr. Dasgupta will elaborate more than me, but India needs to take a strong position to defend the interests of developing countries. Because on various issues such as subsidy for fisheries, regulating public stock holding of food grains, market access for agriculture products, including cotton, so on. So this has to be raised. And you know, Mr. Trump at one stage was saying, what is WTO? Whereas the body was formed by UN and it was part of the American old chart. So there are various other areas to work with, like many times the anti-dumping duty for Indian material, many times some restrictions come up in the name of child labor. So all this needs to be sorted out. Because if you want a level playing field, if they want free access in India, then we also should be given free access to USA. Like I said, while signing FTAs also, that when we are talking about FTAs with any country, we should be also having some advantage. It's only not that it's one-sided, that we give FTA, we sign FTAs and we give them a market and we do not have a market. So it has to work both ways. So I feel that trade with like H1 and H1B visas, the IT companies are facing problems. Sometimes they come out with restrictions, sometimes they lift restrictions, sometimes they come out with quota system. So our IT companies, then there's a setback to them. Because all said and done, our IT has done very well in US, and today we are like India is a brand ambassador of IT. And
I couldn't agree more with Dr. Kalantri. Software exports are our biggest export for India. Lakhs of crores of software is exported. I'll go to...
And employment, also employment in services.
I'll go to Ambassador Jayant Dasgupta at this point. You see our Prime Minister going out to get investment into the country, all these meetings that have been lined up?
Yes, definitely, Tarun. Investments are something which the country and, of course, the Prime Minister sets much store by. And as Mr. Kalantri has mentioned, it is about infrastructure, it is about new industries, it is about technology infusion in the brownfield industry. And if you look at the 5 CEOs that he's meeting, Adobe is there. Very importantly, First Solar is also there. General Atomics is there, and Blackstone is an investment company, so they are there. So it is a mix of CEOs of companies who could bring in a lot of technology and provide employment, give a boost to our own technological prowess, help us in our R&D efforts, and also investment in infrastructure and in brownfield companies as well as in new companies like Blackstone has been doing. So that is one part of the objective of the PM's visit. But the main focus of the visit is on another dimension, and that is because of the emerging situation in Afghanistan and the involvement of both China and Pakistan in Afghanistan, and China's growing assertiveness in the Indo-Pacific, as a consequence of which a new agreement between Australia, the UK, and US, the UK-US AUKUS has been signed, which will enable the transfer of technology for the manufacture of nuclear-powered submarines. They are not going to have intercontinental ballistic missiles with a nuclear tip, but they will be nuclear-powered. Now, that is something which is extremely important we discussed, because India is part of the Quad, which comprises Japan, Australia, US, and India. Now, US and Australia, if they are going to have a partnership in terms of building submarines, Japan, of course, may not need submarines at the moment, but India does require these nuclear-powered submarines. The Florida-class submarines, which are the latest, they can survive underwater till about 2033. You know, if they go underwater now, so for the next 13 years, they need not come out again from below the water line, only for the purposes of crew replacement and for food, they need to come up. So that is the kind of technology that we need, because we do have intercontinental ballistic missile carrying nuclear submarines, but they are comparatively slow, and they would need these SSN submarines to protect them, and also to keep an eye on the destroyers of enemy powers, etc., etc. So that is the second point. The third point is about the supply chain initiative, resilience initiative, of which the US is not a part yet, but the Japanese, the Australians, and the Indians are part of that three-way partnership. Now that the rest of the world, apart from China, is facing various kinds of supply side shortages. As you know, the auto industry all over the world, and particularly in India, has been handicapped very severely because of the lack of chips, supply of chips, most of which come from China. Now that is something which is affecting the whole world. Similar is the case with the active pharmaceutical ingredients for the pharma industry. A bulk of it comes from China. That is also something which India is definitely going to raise. COVID vaccines and the supply to the developing world. The US President, I think yesterday or the day before, he has promised to increase very radically the supply from the US of vaccines, but that may not be enough. As has been quoted quite widely, only 3% of the population of the developing world has been vaccinated. India, and of course, is a shining exception because of the huge effort that we have made on the part of the government and our companies which are manufacturing vaccines like Serum Institute, like Bharat Biotech, and there would be a few others with an Indian stamp on them. So, but the rest of the developing world, it needs vaccines from developed countries, from other countries like India, and we have promised that we will resume the supplies. We had an export ban, which we will lift from October. So that is another issue which is going to be discussed between the Prime Minister and the US. The next point on the agenda is about climate change. As you know, the former Secretary of State, John Kerry, has been named as the ambassador to the climate change negotiations. And he has been seeking commitments, firm commitments to advance the date for zero emissions for various countries, including India. And there is a great deal of pressure on India to advance the date. The Prime Minister, in his previous speeches, has already given a very deep commitment, but there is a move to seek even better commitments from India and from China, of course. So that is something which will again be discussed. And the improvement of bilateral investment and trade opportunities, that will figure on a government-to-government basis, that will figure very high up on the agenda. So these are some of the issues which the Prime Minister will discuss with the US President. Now come to the Vice President. The Prime Minister Modi has had a discussion with Vice President Kamala Harris on telephone in June, but that was mainly about COVID vaccines and our efforts, joint efforts to combat the disease. This time around, the Prime Minister has indicated that he would like to discuss with Vice President Harris about science and technology cooperation. That is something which is of a piece with what we discussed a while ago about technology inclusion, whether it is in solar panels, hydrogen technology, artificial intelligence, electric batteries, and there is a whole gamut of things on which we would like to collaborate with the US and have technology on a mutual sharing basis, mutual development basis. So that is the agenda, I think, primarily with Vice President Harris. Then the summit meeting of the Quad with Prime Minister Scott Morrison of Australia, the Prime Minister of Japan, President Biden, and our Prime Minister. So that is again going to be extremely important because China has been looking at it from a point of as an adversary, and it thinks that this Quad is basically meant to throw a spanner in the works for China. Now that may not quite be so, but the rest of the world is looking with a great deal of anxiety, especially the smaller countries in the Indo-Pacific, and China's growing ambitions, its assertiveness, its aggressive gestures, it's sending out its naval ships to various parts. So, and its movement towards Afghanistan, Badar, it has already secured. So the oil supplies for the rest of the world also may get affected because of because if China is not sane and it does not come to the negotiating table and accept that playing by the rules is good for everyone. China has this habit of saying that it is playing by the rules, but it does something to the contrary. So that is of the essence. All these things, I think, will be discussed. The Prime Minister has got a packed agenda, and then I'm sure he would find some time out to also interact with the Indian diaspora. When he landed at Andrews Joint Air Force Base in Washington, there was a very and he has struck a accord, they accord with the Indian diaspora all over the world. And
Point well taken, Ambassador Dasgupta. I'll now, thanks for sharing a detailed view of what all our Prime Minister is going to do in terms of the meeting with the Australian PM, in terms of discussions on emissions. I'll go to Ambassador, to Dr. Vijay Kalantri. What do you see in terms of trade coming out of this summit? Because of course the trade deal is what we have planned to sign with the US. It's in the works. And of course on the strategic front, the ports business, if you see, China has been bringing a string of pearls, as they say, a port in Hambantota, the Gwadar port is with them. There is news that even in Iran, the Chabahar port, they have managed to get into access to build. How do you have both these points in a sense in tandem, and how India will balance this? What do you feel about it?
Connectivity and linkages, we have been always talking. And Chabahar port, if you go by the facts, we were the first one to enter Chabahar ports. And looking at the investment, when Mr. Gadkari was the Minister for Shipping and Transport, and he decided that we should go ahead with Chabahar port so that we can have linkage to various countries around Iran, and we could have access to them and work with them closely. So, and of course, China has not only been trying to enter Iran now, but also like Sri Lanka, where we also had made a bid. But unfortunately, due to lack of support from our government, many people were not able to get through it. So India should see, we have got 7 neighbors touching our border. And we hardly have a good relation with all of them. At least with 5, we don't have much to do. Or we cannot call them our friends, but we have diplomatic relations. That's on which we are working. So there is an important need for us also to develop such relations like in the neighboring countries, where if the ports are available for joint ventures, we should go ahead. Or if they are bidding, requesting a bidder, and the government should support wholeheartedly. Whether it's a private sector or it's a government sector, does not make a difference. Like Chabahar port took little more time than required, and that's why China was able to ask for some foothold there. But otherwise, we could have done much ahead, because this new relation between Iran and China in last 2 years have been little disturbing. And now the Afghanistan, as Mr. Dasgupta rightly said, that this issue, because now not only business will be linked to terror. They are going to discuss business and terror both. And that's what Prime Minister said in the morning, I think, that I'm going to discuss investment business, but also terror, because that's also a threat to Asia Pacific. And that needs to be dealt very seriously. So, of course, Blackstone is a big investor, but there are many such investors from US to India, and US has been a big investor in India. So, infrastructure is a key area where we should work on, and India should develop a connectivity issue through ports or through road. Even if we talk about Iran and all, there is a road from Afghanistan to Iran, which is only hardly 600 kilometers, or some area is left. But now with the new situation in Afghanistan, I do not know whether we will again go ahead with the said proposal with Iran, which we were planning to do.
The Iran-Pakistan-India gas pipeline, you mean to say that?
That is a gas pipeline, but the road, there's a roadway which links
Point
to
taken.
Iran.
I'll go to Ambassador Dasgupta at this point. Ambassador Dasgupta, could you share with us on the infrastructure front? Do you expect a lot of money that we will get?
I do think that we will be able to attract investment from the US, especially the pension fund. We have already had investment from the Canadian pension fund, a very large investment. Blackstone has been investing. There are other which have invested in India. But what we want them to do is not merely getting into the portfolio investment business, to get deeper into the Indian economy and invest in infrastructure. And, if you look at the large projects, such as the roadways project, and the Highways Authority of India. Many of the projects have been taken by for execution by the Chinese companies. They are already doing it. So there is no reason why American investors, of course, the contractor who is asked to actually execute the work would be somebody else. But investments, definitely, because there is a viability gap, and that will need to be addressed. And a reasonable return on investment should be over a long period, 15 years, 20 years on infrastructure projects. That needs to be assured to these investors. So I'm sure the Americans would be looking at it, but it is perhaps not going to be done on a government basis. It would be the private investors who would need to be, told about the developments that have taken place in the liberalization that we have done. Just yesterday, Minister Piyush Goyal has inaugurated a single window system which eliminates a very large number of approvals. And I think 18 approvals and already 9 states have come on board. So 14 more departments with their attendant approvals will also become part of this single window. So this is the kind of development that I'm sure the Prime Minister would be talking about and would be quite attractive.
Point well taken. We are eagerly waiting at the outcome of the summit, as in what all agreements have been signed. But that we'll follow up later. Thank you so much, Ambassador Dasgupta, Dr. Vijay Kalitri, for sparing time and joining us for this short discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We hope we have a good summit and good successful visit of Prime Minister.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.